known as CIO News. I'm your host Simran Shivarkar, and we are back with another episode of our weekly lives. We also have with us an esteemed guest, Mr. Bhagvan Kommadi. He's the Chief Information Officer at Capri Global Capital Limited. With over 21 years of experience and a track record of working with Fortune 500 giants like Citi, Oracle, and American Express, he is a powerhouse of insights. He also ensures tech delivers high value to both customers and employees. Join us for an engaging discussion today as we deep dive into some critical topics. So, are you excited?
Hi, Simran. It's great to be on the Mainstream Live. This is my first time on Instagram Live, so it's really interesting and look forward to what this how this experience is.
Fantastic. And with that, I would love to understand something about your journey. You have spent more than 2 decades in the tech space. You have led a lot of teams as well and worked with a lot of tech giants, the big names to be specific. How has this journey been, if you could just throw some light on that?
Yeah, to be honest, to take a step back, right, back in Georgia Tech, working on my AI project, that was my master's thesis. So while I was working on it, I thought I will end up in like the Department of Defense or some defense lab, which will embrace AI as a technology. I never thought, just not India, but even in US, I never thought AI or blockchains, all these new technologies like mobile and so on, will be in our daily lives. So that's how I started my experiences back in Georgia Tech working on AI. Then I started optimization, working in, got into technology space, working on Java technology, and first started building monolithic, then server-based, then now latest is microservices, and also various technology stacks, right? And so I worked on a couple of BPM implementations. Worked in product companies like TIPCO, Kony. Kony was into the multi-channel mobile development. And also worked in various services companies. So I spent around 10 years in IT services where I was working with really big giant companies like what you mentioned about like Citi, American Express, and JP Morgan Chase, and a couple of other Fortune 500 companies. So the journey was primarily focusing on technology, and I had my own startups also in quantum computing and AI. And now I am the CIO of Capri Global Capital for around 23 years experience.
Wonderful. And thank you so much for giving us a glimpse of this journey and being so comprehensive about it. I also want to understand from you, what does a typical day for a CIO look like? Are there any special practices that you follow?
Yeah, so like a typical CEO will focus more on the information strategy, the IT strategy, IT infrastructure, IT support, and also IT governance primarily, and focus on the IT applications and IT application support, and focus on the metrics part, the operational metrics, how the applications are operating on the cloud or on premises, right? And also the consumer apps or mobile apps which are working, which are being used by the customers, used by the employees. Whether it's a web application or mobile application, ensure that it's operating and it's running almost like 24/7, right? So that's the CEO's goal. Having said that, one is the availability part and also the security part. How secure are these applications? How secure is the customer data? How secure is the data which is coming into the company? And the whole data lifecycle, right? You want to manage, you need to have a data governance to it. You need to ensure that data is encrypted, data is stored properly, data is retained properly and archived, and have team and strategy in place to ensure data archival, data retention is done. And very importantly, the compliance part associated, like regulations and compliance associated with the data. In fintech, the regulations and compliance are very important, especially data quality standards, data storage standards, right? And data information. How do you manage PII, like personal identified information? How do you store that information? How do you mask that information? So this is a typical life of a CEO focusing on applications, technology, data, and also how to innovate and use automation to improve the efficiency of a company, people, and productivity.
Absolutely. Now, along the lines, because you spoke about compliance, is compliance a challenge when we talk about fintech companies or especially in this fintech area? Is compliance seen as a challenge when it comes to adopting or implementing new and emerging technologies?
So to take a step back, if you like, whether it's a challenge implementing a technology, but if you look at the technologies, how they evolved, so like AI being used in fintech, there are tools and software which are developed for compliance, like AI-based monitoring, AI-based compliance checks, right? So similarly, blockchain or mobile applications or web applications related to latest technologies, like even in the data encryption space, like homomorphic encryption, differential privacy. So many new techniques are coming in to help out the compliance part. Like for example, homomorphic encryption is that you have some personal identifier information which is encrypted. You don't have to decrypt to run some tools or analyze that particular data. Similarly, differential privacy, where you have a group, you have a data which belongs to a group of people, and you want to gather some statistics around it. You don't have to decrypt the data, but can operate as if I don't know about these individuals, but I can know them as a group. Like I know the mean, variance, and all the statistical the values about that particular group, but don't know the individual group. So all these technologies are evolving to overcome the challenges which are prescribed. Like for example, the compliance says you should mask the data. You should not have the capability for a person who is looking at the data to actually reveal the identity, like social security number in US or Aadhaar number in India. Right? All those, like even the credit card numbers needs to be masked. Only 4 digits or 3 digits needs to be visible. So it's the other way. Actually, technologies are evolving at fast pace to overcome the challenges faced in compliance and regulations.
So compliance is not necessarily a challenge that, especially when we talk about fintech.
Blended with technology and innovation, compliance is not a challenge. Let's say if you are on cloud and you don't have a very less applications on premises, right? That's like a big win because on the, like for example, AWS or Oracle Cloud, you have these pretty much most of them certified or audited for the ISO and so many data quality standards, right? And like for example, you want to have them payments enabled. You have PCI DSS certified. That's very easy on the AWS compared to the on-premises. So embracing new technologies coupled with innovation helps you to drive compliance and regulations very easily in a company or enterprise.
Rightly said. So I think adopting and embracing new technology is the only way forward. And with that, I would like to understand from you, or in the tech landscape, everything is moving at a lightning speed. Even fintech, for that matter. What is one trend or one emerging tech that you're particularly excited about, and how do you think it will impact organizations as well as individuals?
Yeah, I'll start off as an individual. I really like the buy now, pay later, both in India and US, and the concept of buy now, pay later. I think you're familiar, right? I just have a mobile phone and I have bank accounts and credit cards associated with it, and I want to buy something. It can be on any, I don't want to pick an app, but let's say a grocery shop, or I want to get into a cab and want to book a cab. So most of these are nowadays enabling the payment method for BNPL or even e-commerce BNPL, right? So these BNPL really help in terms of like immediately making the decision and have enough time, like 15, 20 days to repay, or have the capability of nowadays BNPL, EMI is also there like for 6 months and 9 months. So as an individual, I'm really excited how BNPL is changing the way e-commerce is spreading and so on. From a company point of view, I have seen in fintech the embedded finance. I think you would have seen People, you're part of the process of buying. You're going through a customer journey in e-commerce or the electronics, uh, online electronics, or any other e-commerce site. But it's suddenly at the point where you want to make a really big purchase, for example, a laptop, right, or a TV. At that point, you want to have capability to work with different loan providers or banks or NBFCs, right, and have capability to make decisions. They call it like embedded finance, where it's like a pluggable thing, and people can pick a product and say that I'm interested in giving loan for this. Right? So that's the latest trend which is happening. That is happening for cars. It's happening for electronics and even for some furniture and other companies are embracing this concept. I feel that this is very powerful, where you have embedded finance providers from NBFCs and bank for loans, or even, for example, trading and so on, or let's say IPO and so on. Right? Who knows tomorrow? The embedded finance can quickly catch up, like BNPL.
Absolutely. And of course, any conversation, if you're talking about emerging technologies, personally speaking, I think if it's incomplete if we do not mention AI. And I want to understand from you, what is your take on trends like Gen AI taking over? Even now in the fintech space, a lot of organizations are adopting this technology. How do you see this change, this technology evolving and taking over?
So in general, not to talk about Gen AI, I think you're all familiar, right? Content creation, creativity, summarization. So I think everybody knows about Gen AI. So you can pretty much get a quick summary, quick report or analysis about a topic, and on the internet do research and with sources, citations. So I think those use cases are very, very, very really helpful. But we get into in fintech specific to Gen AI, the next level, like a recommendation engine, credit scoring, fraud detection, right, and all the new techniques based on Gen AI are evolving even in the fintech space. Like, for example, loan processing. Right? You have the customer history, you have the loan products, and you want to pick and choose and say that these are the loan products which are suitable for this particular customer based on his customer purchases, customer history, customer income, right, and customer expenditure, right, basically obligations versus his current income. And based on that ratio, you can say that these are the loan products which are available. This is the tenure, this is the interest. Right? Gen AI has the capability to analyze and predict and give this. Similarly, fraud detection. Right? You look at various customers' transactions in the classic bank accounting. You want to detect where the fraud is happening or predict that there is going to happen. That's another capability with Gen AI. And recommendation engine you have seen in many of these e-commerce websites, right? Similarly, in the banking or fintech, based on the customer history, you want to give him an offer for a credit card or offer for, like, for example, this BNPL thing also, right? And in the case of e-commerce, where the capability to predict and say that he can actually pick up this BNPL 15 days or 6 months and so on. So these are the new use cases which are coming in, and especially in the insurance and other areas. Even we have Gen AI-based underwriting. Like during my school days or while I was working in US, I thought underwriting can be done only by a mainframe. Right now we have servers on the cloud which can really help out using Gen AI and creating an underwriting platform. Underwriting is basically you're giving your profile, given your incomes, and given your family background. And let's say you are picking up a life insurance or medical insurance or any specific insurance product, you got to come back with a quote saying that this is the quote which is suitable for you based on your income history. Let's say it's a driving. In US, if you want to take a driving insurance, there are rules for each and every state where they will specify saying that based on your driving history, based on your family and the other background and driving violations, this is what is your driving insurance. So, like I'm explaining, we go through a whole BFSI use cases. Every use case Gen A is making a big impact.
Absolutely. And Mr. Kommadi, because you have a dynamic experience now when we talk about technology as well as fintech, I'm curious to know from you what is the future of fintech, both NBFC as well as organizations that are connected with the government and the non-government. How do you see the landscape evolving, especially when we talk about finance?
So by now, I think most of the verticals and different horizontals have embraced AI. Gen A is also being embraced. Like I said, there is very frequent common use cases. The future is looking at like what they call it, like human in the loop, right? Where every workflow or every decision AI is making, there has to be a human being in middle to evaluate and check. And they have the maker and checker kind of thing. But the checking process, you need to have a human looking at it and approving it. That the human in the loop is going to be very, very important as we are looking at the pace of AI adoption. Right? So human in the loop is very important. And the future thing is why AI is making these decisions. Most of the time, we have 3 or 4 options, but we miss out for five, six, seven most of the time. But why is this 1, 2, 3, 4 more important than 5, 6, 7? So explainable AI. Right? And the next part is the ethical AI, is to ensure that the decisions which are made do not have any bias. To give an example, not to pick a product, but let's say there are 4 products and 3 vendors or 4 vendors, right? And the bias should not be towards the vendors who are very popular. The focus should be on the quality of the product or cost of the product or how popular this particular product is. So bias should not be for a specific vendor, right? And who has loyalty towards this particular company. So similarly, you can see other biases like gender bias or racial bias or so on. I can a list of biases, but ethical AI needs to factor in all of those factors while taking the decisions. And the person who is in the context or who is evaluating the decision needs to know why 1, 2, 3, 4 is better in the quality and so on, and also be balanced across all these bias factors. So I see that these 3 areas are future because we have evolved so much. We at some point we want to take it to the next level. That's where all these balance and checks will come in. And it's very, very important at this point.
Absolutely. And lastly, any key practices that or recommendations that you would like to give out to organizations as well as individuals when it comes to adopting the digital transformation, being a part of the digital transformation and adopting new technology?
Yeah, so I have mentioned this in many occasions, so I may sound repetitive, but I strongly believe in overcoming the fear of failure. Most of the time, it's not just digital transformation, it's AI or enterprise mobility or blockchain or any new technology. There is a fear of failure that we are going to fail and we will not even try experimenting. The idea is to overcome the fear of failure is to pick a use case which is least resistant in the environment. Most of the time, you'll see a lot of issues, a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges around. And you feel that there are opposing forces. There's a lot of resistance to embrace new technology. But there is an area you feel that this is a quick win, and I can prove that this is where technology can make a big impact. Right, to start with, not a huge impact, but it's a decent impact. So that's the area you need to start working on, bring in people who believe that this area is really good candidate for adopting digital transformation tools or packages and start implementing. So after implementing that, and you start evangelizing and publishing, campaigning, saying that hey, we had huge successes, and make the people who actually who have implemented the ambassadors for change, ambassadors for digital transformation, and as you see, right, people see the win and see that there is a scope for transformation. More and more people will join these ambassadors to push this change across the enterprise or the company, right? So, but the first step is to overcome the fear of failure and start very small and slowly move forward, and always progress through the least resisted path. Whenever you feel that there are a lot of issues, a lot of resistance, you don't have to go through and try that area. So that's one thing I strongly believe in. Whether it's a process, a digital transformation, any technology, always start with the least resistant path, and you will see successes. If you're an individual, your focus should be on bottom up in understanding. Like for example, AI is based on mathematics. You look at algorithms, mathematics, like statistics and mathematical topics, right? Like what is a neural network? How does the neural network work? You go back and revisit the basics. If it is quantum computing, it's not just mathematics. Also look at quantum physics. Revisit the old topics of quantum physics and mathematics.
Great. And thank you once again for sharing these wonderful insights with us and our viewers today. I think we all have a lot to take away from this session. And while we conclude this, I also have a small rapid fire plan for you. Just a couple of questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's go ahead. My first question to you is one tech gadget that you cannot live without.
So my first tech gadget was iPhone. So I always have the iPhone as my first tech gadget, and I like looking at it every day, and that's my first tech gadget.
I think there's some nostalgia for you as well. Maybe it was your first tech gadget. Is it?
Yes, so nobody thought iPhone will become like so popular, and at that time, many people thought like BlackBerry. Say I was in US at that point, and most of the people thought BlackBerry is the executive way of doing it. iPhone is like not popular or not the executive style. So, but I continue to use iPhone, and now I'm very happy that iPhone is being used by so many CXOs, and I think even the prime ministers, presidents nowadays use iPhone, I guess.
Absolutely. Moving on, AI a game changer or a job taker?
So I always made it as a game changer, right from the education days, how AI has evolved and how it's changed, even in US also. Many things have changed in universities, defense labs, and also the companies. And as we move along the timeline from 90s to 2000s and 2010, it's a big game changer, especially in US. And what I have followed, I've seen it transformed the way US government operate, the way your government agencies and defense labs, and also companies and enterprises in US, India, and Europe.
Rightly said so. The next one word that describes you best.
Yeah, I'd call a tech visionary, a techie,
Can you repeat?
a tech visionary, techie.
I think we all can agree there. And the last one, your go-to way to unwind after a long day.
Yeah, I would like to sit with my family and listen to old Bollywood songs. Right? That's
One best
yeah,
practice I think we all can follow is just to sit with our families, connect back, and just unwind.
true.
All right, and with that, we would be concluding this session, Mr. Kommadi. But I want to take a moment and thank you for being a part of this series and joining us today. Uh, we really appreciate you joining us, and thank you so much for sharing your insights as well. While we wrap up, I look forward to connecting back with you again.
Yeah, same here. It was a great experience participating in Instagram Live. Looking forward to connect again.
Absolutely, likewise, and I'll see you again.
Yeah, thank you.